Hi, my name is Diego Crespo. You might know me from such things as this podcast, Cantina Hangouts, here on the Waffle Press YouTube channel, SoundCloud, Patreon, iTunes, Spotify, all those things. I couldn't make it for this episode today, so I just wanted to stop by and say hello. Thanks for listening. My co-host Gene and our guest Sean Fallon did a wonderful job discussing this episode of The Mandalorian. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts anyways because I am editing this episode, and sorry, Gene, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. It sucked. Okay, they do a better job explaining it than I do. Bye. Enjoy the episode. Be good people.
Hey guys, this is Gina Versa. I'm here with another episode of our Cantina Hangout series. We're now on episode 5 of The Mandalorian, The Gunslinger, or I believe it's chapter 5, excuse me. And I have a terrific guest with me today, an old friend of the show. We've had him on many episodes before that are quite good and funny. Want to introduce a good friend, Sean Fallon, from the Blue Bantha Milk Co. YouTube channel. How are you doing today, Sean?
I'm good, Gene. It's good to be back on. It's been a while. I think the last time I was on this was it was a Marvel one, and it was in like the lead up
Oh,
to something like Captain America
Avengers?
Civil War or something.
Oh, that's right. I think, yeah, you were on one of the Marvel retrospectives.
Yeah,
I don't remember, excuse me, I don't remember what Marvel movie it was.
same. I remember I talked about Winter Soldier a lot, but I can't
Okay.
remember what the maybe it was Civil War, but that's a long time ago now, isn't it? That's quite a
Yeah,
few years.
it
Yeah,
feels, yeah, with Endgame.
yeah.
Yeah, it felt like more than 3 years ago.
Yeah. But Endgame, like before we were recording, obviously me and you were talking about how long this year's been.
Hmm.
Endgame was this year, yeah?
Yes, it was. Yeah. It,
God.
it highest grossing movie of the year. That's something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens when The Rise of Skywalker comes out. If it
No,
can knock it off its perch.
I thought you were gonna say Avatar too.
Yeah, well, yeah. That would be, oh my God, that would be hilarious if Avatar 2 came out and was then like the biggest film again. Just incredible.
James Cameron comes down. I'll show you Russo's who
Yeah,
has the money. I'm gonna
that's
save
it.
the world if you don't see my. Excuse me. I'm gonna save the world if you don't see this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
But Sean, it's been really interesting seeing your videos on the Blue Bantha Milk Co. channel with Matt as well, your co-host.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys started, I'm gonna say a bit more than a year ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, about a year ago. Yeah, I'm trying to think exactly when it was because it was Matt had started the channel, and then me and him met. Me and him met via Facebook, like a
Hmm.
Star Wars fan group on Facebook, and yeah, we just hit it off. And I did a guest spot on the channel,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of like when we were looking back at the video, it's like, yeah, this is really good. We got a nice chemistry, and we seem to be on the same page with a lot of things. So he asked me if
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to co-host, and it's been fantastic. He's a fantastic. He's great at all the technical stuff, and sort of keeps me in line with some of my ridiculous ideas.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going really well. It's a cool little project, and we're getting yeah we just passed 800 subscribers on YouTube, so we're getting we're
Nice.
getting there. It's
No,
good. It's
congrats.
exciting.
Yeah, no, it's always good to get along with your co-host because yeah, me and Diego, we don't always agree on everything, but we do get along. He
Yeah.
compliments me on some things, so yeah.
Well, that's important. I think you do have to have that bit of it can't just be two people just agreeing with each other. You have to have a bit of something. But it's been a lot of fun. I know if I never expected to be someone who was kind of a YouTuber,
Mm-hmm.
YouTuber. But here we
That's right.
are.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Any videos that you would recommend to our listeners?
Oh, definitely. Well, we've just since when this would have been March or April, we've been
Mm-hmm.
doing a thing called the Road to Nine. So every movie with some Clone Wars and some Rebels thrown in there, and Battlefront 2 and a bunch of other stuff, and Mandalorian.
Nice.
And we've just fit yesterday we did a live stream of Force Awakens, and then we're recording The Last Jedi this week, and then we're done. So it's some ridiculous things, like 18 videos, but each week we had a different guest, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun talking about like kind of what we enjoyed about the old movies, what we're hoping to see get carried over to the new ones. It's
Mhm.
interesting, like I think a lot of people would love to see Jar Jar Binks in Rise of Skywalker, which I was
Okay.
not expecting. That's come up
Uh,
quite a bit. So yeah,
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, I see like one shot of him, just he's alive and well, and not a circus performer or street performer, like in that one
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. So it'd be cool, just a background shot. I don't need him to be the
Yeah.
main character, but yeah,
No,
just
God,
something
no.
just to show he's still around.
Yeah, because I felt that, not to criticize anyone, but I felt that fate that they had, was it like in that Chet Gwendeg book?
Yeah,
That was a little too much. It's like, that guy who sold us all out, he's now homeless, a clown, and
yeah.
performing for the basic amount of credits. And I'm like, geez, that's depressing.
Yeah, that's a real kind of yeah, I think it's been very interesting. Like I think when the Disney deal first happened and they were doing all this new stuff, there was very much this sort of atmosphere of, oh, we've got to make sure that people know that, they don't like the prequels and we don't either. So there was quite a bit of cruel stuff in there that
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm
yeah.
not the biggest Jar Jar fan, but I'm like, geez, leave the guy, poor guy alone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was unnecessary, and but I
Hmm.
found that that's sort of turned around now, and now the prequels are being reappreciated, and I think a lot of people are on the thing of like, yeah, they're not perfect, but there's some good
Hmm.
stuff in there, so it's all Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll go to bat for episode 3
Oh,
anytime.
definitely.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, for your channel, I love the Rogue One and the Exorcist thing.
Yeah,
That was
that was a lot of fun.
that was cool, and I would recommend the one I'm on as well, talking about Yoda.
Yes. God, that
That's
feels like a
cool.
long time ago, but yeah, you did your favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back with Yoda raising the X-wing, which was excellent.
Hmm.
Yeah, so definitely, if you're listening to this and you like Gene and Diego, you're gonna like what we do because
Definitely.
they're cool guys, we're cool guys. What's not to like?
Yeah. Well, so speaking of if we liked or disliked, let's go right into it. Chapter 5, the Gunslinger. This seemed to be kind of a polarizing episode for people.
Yeah,
Yes. It came out 2 days ago now. It was directed by and written by Dave Filoni of
yeah,
Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars fame and Avatar. And let's just go into it. It starts with mid scene, like many Lucasfilm movies, like the prologues of Raiders or what have you.
mm,
And he's pursuing a bounty hunter called Riot Mar, apparently,
okay,
because it's like, okay, that's a good Star Wars sounding name, right?
yeah,
Like you name your son Riot.
yeah. And just kind of like he'll be fine. He won't turn out to be a bounty hunter.
Exactly. And this episode just things just were not working or just not landing for me
Yeah,
personally. And because for an episode where they go to Tatooine, the Mos Eisley Cantina, you would think it would be more like it would have more than just like these nostalgia riffs almost, right?
oh no, you're spot on. That's perfect. Like the setting was gorgeous,
Hmm.
and we're back to like we're back in A New Hope, but it just wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like and that nostalgia thing, like there was so many references. Like I was just watching it, I was like, okay, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Cantina, Pit Droids, someone said Womp Rat, someone said Beggar's Canyon,
Hmm.
someone said Mos Espa, just like someone mentioned the huts, and I was like, at some point, are we gonna get like someone saying like, "Oh, out there in the desert, that's where the Larses used to live with their adopted nephew Luke, but they're dead." And it got to a point where I was like, I don't. I don't need this. I don't need any of this. It's not
Yeah.
helping the story move.
Yeah, it felt like a checklist. Like Dave Filoni
Yeah.
just wrote down a few things that he wanted to call back to, and they're like, yeah, check
Yeah, it
that.
was Yeah, that was sort of the issue that I had with Solo, like the movie. Like I
Mm.
enjoyed the movie, but there was definitely a point where I was like, I don't need this many origins. I
Yeah,
don't need this.
like his last name, Solo.
Yeah.
I don't have a family name. It's like, well, you're by yourself. Solo. Like if he had if Kira was with him, would they just call him like, oh, you're with a lady there. You're double. That's
Yeah,
your last
duo.
name.
And
Duo. Yeah,
duo.
there you go. Yeah, because it felt like I'm not sure how much anime you watch, but it felt like anime filler.
Well, that's been the interesting thing because when people complained that chapter two was filler
Hmm.
with the Jawas, I was like, well, you can't know you can't say something's filler when we're this early on because you don't know what the plot is.
Hmm.
But with this episode, I was talking to Matt, my co-host, last night, and we were both saying like, there's this episode is so standalone that you feel as though if you skipped it, I'm not sure where we're going to lose anything from it because even the cliffhanger, or not to skip, oh, well, I'll come back to that,
Okay.
but like, there's no there's no villain in the show. There's no like overarching villain. There's no
Hmm.
sense of propulsion or where they're going. It's just like, oh, we've got to protect the child, so we'll go to this
Hmm.
planet. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay, we'll go to this planet, and that didn't work out. And that's not the basis for a narrative, really. It doesn't.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it has that propulsion. So yeah, like you say, it feels like a Dragon Ball Z episode where it's just like Goku and Frieza just powering up for
Hmm.
half an hour.
Well, I was gonna say there's an episode of Dragon Ball Z where Goku and Piccolo learn how to drive, and it felt like that where there's just like there's no reason for them to be learning how to drive.
Yeah,
Just Goku's wife Chi Chi tells him he has to get his driver's license. He's 30 years old and he could fly, but he has to
can't
drive a
drive.
car, even though he
Incredible.
doesn't need to. Yeah.
But I guess, well, to sort of get back into sort of the recap, like obviously he arrives in Tatooine, the ship's been busted up by the bounty hunter, and he meets Princess Carolyn or Amy Sedaris,
Hmm.
and then
Great
what?
cameo.
Great cameo. Like as soon as I heard her voice, I was like, oh, brilliant, Amy Sedaris, love her.
Hmm.
Um, and then obviously he goes to Mos Eisley Cantina, and one thing I did like when he went to the cantina was that it was full of droids.
Yeah,
Like
that was
that's yeah.
that's what Galaxy's Edge should be.
Yeah, just
There's
full of
no
droids.
Yeah, darn Bob Chapakwick, I think his name
Yeah.
is. Yeah, that manages the parks. It's like you got to cut down on those droids. The one thing that makes you feel at Star Wars, but I digest. It was interesting to see. I think it's called the Mos Eisley Cantina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because it reminded me of the a lot of these callbacks reminded me of the Pan Oswalt bit he has about Episode One,
Mm.
and it's a great bit. It kind of it's a little too mean at times, but the point of the joke is sometimes in Episode One where it just felt they were he's like, oh, you love Vader, don't you? That's how the joke goes. Well, here's him as a kid. Or you like Boba Fett? Well, here's him as a kid. It felt a little like that, where it's like, oh, you love that cantina scene. Well, here's the cantina, but it's on the off hours and there's no music. The Snice Noodles band are gone. Max Rebo's not playing there, and no one's in the bar. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, okay, here you go. Here's the bare minimum people. Couple of aliens.
Hmm.
A sort of guy sat like Han Solo who isn't really Han Solo, and yeah, I mean it was pointless. He couldn't. It didn't need to be. It didn't need to be. I mean, the whole thing. It didn't need to be Tatooine, like as
No,
well.
yeah,
Like it could have been anything. It could have been
it could have.
anywhere.
Yeah, it could have been like Jakku. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean that would have been. See, that's the thing that would have been really interesting because if it'd been like, oh, we're on Jakku and they're at like a settlement that we hadn't
Mhm.
seen before, you'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, this is cool, a little bit, you know.
and yeah, and I kind of actually when I saw the Imperial helmets on the pikes,
Mhm.
that which that's a great. I will say for
Mm.
this episode, that was a great shot. Really
Yeah,
cool imagery. I thought, oh, this is Jakku, because Jakku and Tatooine are pretty similar, but a little bit. If it showed Jakku, he could have, for some fans that weren't familiar with, what happened on Jakku, that it was where they signed the treaty. Uh,
Yeah.
you maybe could have delved into that or got some of the background because, yeah, sometimes I love Force Awakens, but the world building or in Force Awakens is a little vague at times.
Yeah, it gives you the bare minimum to get by. Like
Hmm.
it is basically the First Order rose from the ashes of the Empire. And you're like, yeah, I can get what that means, but okay. And then you have to read all the books and everything. But apparently,
Yes.
the Mandalorian is going to dip into the origins of the First Order at some point. Like we're not there
It's
yet, but eventually.
yeah, in the next 3 episodes or maybe next season.
But that would be great. Like if that's going to be the course of the next 3 episodes, good because we need
Hmm.
something. Because
Right.
at the moment,
Hmm.
it's well, do you ever watch Doctor Who?
I've watched a few episodes. Yeah.
So of the new show, there's like 11 seasons, and the
Hmm.
first 10 seasons will do the same thing, where basically every episode is like a standalone adventure, but
Hmm.
there's a threat running through it. So there'll be like a word or an image that keeps reoccurring, and then in the like two-part finale, you find out what all that means. So even though the episodes jump around and they're kind of little, they all have a beginning, middle, and end, there's a sense that it's moving somewhere. But season 11, the new one, removed that. So it was
Hmm.
just 12 or 13 standalone adventures. And it took me a really long time to watch the show because there was never that feeling of like, oh, I need to know what happens next. I'd just be like, okay, well, I'm in the mood for a Doctor Who adventure now, and I'd watch it on
Hmm.
a plane. But when the episode finished, I'd be like, okay, well, that was great, but I don't have that drive to be like, oh, I need to know what happens next. I was just sort of like,
Hmm.
cool, well, next time I'm in the mood, I'll dip into that.
Yeah, it's just not as engaging as it used to be.
Yeah. Like if the gunslinger had stolen the kid at the end, and that would have been like the cliffhanger, you're like, brilliant. Okay,
Hmm.
what's gonna happen next? But instead it was like, oh no, it's finished. And that's it. The
Yeah,
adventure's
yeah.
over.
Yeah, it feels like too episodic, like it feels like a 60s western, but not like
Mm.
a good 60s western. It's like Bounty Law or
Yeah.
like something where it's just like, oh, here's the adventures of old Mando each week. And let's
Yeah.
see what shenanigans he gets into. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
it's like kung fu of just like, someone going from town to town, having a little adventure, and at the end being like, I can't stay, I need to keep moving. And yeah, I don't think you can sustain that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I don't know if anyone's still hunting him, those Imperials or the
Hmm.
other bounty hunters. Graf is, I guess he is, but yeah, yeah, the drive of this show there needs to be something that, some overarching villain like, I mean, like the Incredible Hulk, the original TV show.
Yeah.
People are looking for Dr. David Bruce Banner, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? He's got that journalist who's always after him and all that.
Yeah,
And
exactly. What's his name?
um, like something like the show I sort of think of, because I'm not a big fan of those sort of like procedural adventure of the week shows, but
Hmm.
I think back to like Hannibal, like the first season of Hannibal. That is each week is like a different crime, but you've got that sense of like there's a bigger story going on, and we're
Hmm.
just seeing these like little adventures in this bigger story. Whereas this episode of Mandalorian and last week's as well, I'm like, yeah, okay, so the bounty hunters are after you, but these are nameless, faceless bounty hunters that are
Hmm.
dispatched in one episode. I know Giancarlo Esposito is going to be in it as like Grand Moff Gideon or something.
Yeah.
So maybe introduce him earlier because the
Hmm.
Imperials have dropped off as a threat. Like,
Yeah.
where's Herzog?
Hmm. Yeah,
You
he
know,
just disappeared. I don't know if they couldn't get him back for filming or
hmm.
yeah, I mean maybe his schedule didn't work out, but he's just not there. He just shows up sporadically in the show, apparently.
But like as well in terms of Star Wars, there is that thing as well of like we never just focus on what the heroes are doing. after a few scenes, we'll cut to the Death Star and we'll see
Hmm.
Vader talking to Tarkin and all that.
And he's force
Whereas this,
choking
we're not getting
someone.
that idea of what's happening in the rest of the galaxy. It's just like this is very narrowly focused, and that's not really Star Wars. Star Wars has never been that narrow.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just it's too. I mean, because excuse me, the Mandalorian. I've been enjoying him. I've been enjoying Pedro Pascal's performance,
Yeah,
but I can't just watch the Mandalorian
and a
every
baby.
single hmm every single shot. And I love Baby Yoda, but it's like I would like to see the flesh out the rest of whatever cast this is. You know.
Well, Matt made a good point actually. He said like there needs to be a crew. There needs to
Hmm.
be like it needs to be like not necessarily like Firefly, but that idea of like a group of people interacting because you've got a baby who can't talk and a character who
Who hardly
Pascal's done very
talks.
well with his body language, but he can't if he's in the spaceship by himself, he's talking to himself.
Hmm.
Um, so you need characters around him to interact and to do some of the grunt work of the
Hmm.
characterization.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't mind that he's a silent protagonist, but I mean, even like the man with no name, he had like Tuco to play
Yeah.
off of, or the some of the characters in A Fistful of Dollars. He's
Yeah.
always meeting people, and they're having this interaction, and Mandalorian is just him silent in his
Well, that's the
ship.
thing. I thought that Gina Carano is
Yes,
that
correct.
yeah. I thought okay, she's going to join him. Okay, that would be great. That would be a really cool dynamic. Or like and like each episode he would take more people with him or something.
Mm-hmm. Like a Mass
Nope.
Effect thing.
Yeah, just like gathering a crew of people, but you're like, no, that's not happening at all. And like
Yeah.
this episode was particularly egregious in that thing of like introducing like an interesting character and then just killing them off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't bring Ming Na Wen in and then kill her off instantaneously.
Yeah, that okay. We'll go. Okay, so we'll talk a
Okay,
little bit.
sorry, we're doing a recap, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go a little bit more into the plot because that goes into it. The Toro, the other bounty hunter, he's
Mm,
just he's like a new freelancer in the gig economy. He wants
yeah,
to work his way up, right?
yeah.
And he asks the Mandalorian for help. So like the job where it's like you take it for a bad pay, you get credit, a meal. That's what basically this is.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they have to find um, this other bounty hunter who's I guess she was associated with the Empire. Um, Sond, she was
Yes,
called.
Fennec. Like she worked for the Huts and she was a mercenary and all that.
Yeah, Fennec. Yeah, I mean, I guess she was associated with Black Sun, and they're
Hmm.
trying to go after her, and it's just boring, right? The way they're trying to, so like it feels so procedural. They bring back the swoop bikes, and they're just
Yeah,
driving.
another reference, swoop bikes, and then they meet Tusken Raiders, and then there's Banthas, and then there's Dewbacks, and you're like, what? Why do I care? You know?
Yeah, because the scene with the Sand people, the Tusken Raiders, the correct name for them
Mm.
is like they're just they do the little gag where I guess it's homaging A New Hope, where Luke's looking at the
Yeah,
Tusken Raiders, and then it's like the opposite of that, and then I guess that was kind of funny, but then it's like, oh, here's this callback, and then here's the Tusken Raiders just chilling next to them, and
yeah,
they're
just
not
stand
gonna,
there.
yeah, they're just standing there. It felt like I don't know, it felt like an SNL skit or something.
Yeah, no, it was so weirdly shot where the camera just like pans to the side and they're
Mhm.
just there. um, and again, just like irrelevant. Like
Right.
it didn't. There wasn't a thing where like afterwards they were like, oh, actually, we could have done with keeping the binoculars. It's like no, it's just because it's set on Tatooine and that's something we remember from Tatooine. So here
Hmm.
it is. Let's move on
Yeah.
to the next thing.
If it had like a laugh track accompanying that scene, maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, that would have made it work.
Yeah, but it kind of goes back, and I don't want to criticize Dave Filoni, because he's just starting doing live action, and people like Brad Bird and um, can transition to animation, but his transition from animation to live action is been pretty rough because I feel like he's just lacking like this cinematic language almost in directing live action. Like, that shot that we just said where just camera just pans to the Mandalorian, or no, excuse me, from the Mandalorian to the Tusken Raiders. It's just so boring as a gag, you know?
Yeah, no, just incredibly and just kind of like weirdly clunky. But yeah, like you say, it did feel as though it could have been like a digital short for SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame though, because like Filoni wrote this and he's a
Mm-hmm.
good writer. Like Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance are fantastic. But like this just there was nothing about it that made it zing at all. There was nothing like we're doing the recap now, but you could recap this whole episode in like 4 sentences and
Mm-hmm.
then lose nothing.
Yeah, because
It's
it's
all
just
there.
yeah, it's just things happening.
Yeah.
They go to this point, they go to that point. A betrayal happens. There's no real hint at the betrayal. It just okay, he's a bounty hunter, And I guess let's go into uh Fennec's appearance when when they finally capture her. It's this fight, and it's at night, and it's hardly you can't really see anything. I
Mm.
know my TV. I don't know if it was. I feel like it was set properly, and they could hardly make out any of the fight scene a bit, and just the way they just find her. It's just of course, okay, it's a trap, you know. Of course,
Yeah.
it's a trap, and it's just it didn't have any like any dramatic tension to it. It's just they just capture her.
Yeah, everything happened with sort of like a sense of like inevitability. It was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is clearly a trap. It's a trap. Okay.
Hmm.
We'll wait it out and then we'll go get her. So they did that. And it's like, obviously, if he leaves her together with like the new bounty hunter, either she's going to kill him or he's going to betray the Mandalorian.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, he's got the baby. Mandalorian's going to outthink him. Episode ends. And that's
Yeah,
it.
and he goes on his travels.
And that's it. And then he's off again to, yeah. And I do worry, like, it's the first season of this show.
And the first Disney Plus show too.
Yeah. We shouldn't be, because we've had some really high highs as well. Like, I thought the last episode with the Sanctuary, with Bryce Dallas Howard
Oh,
directing, was insanely good.
that was
Like, that was
great.
brilliant.
That was a
And
beautiful episode.
yeah, and that showed how you can do like a standalone thing that works. And that did feel as though, even though there was no overarching villain or no real sense of like propulsion, you had that thing of him getting close to finding peace but not getting it. And like I was like, okay, that's cool. But
Yeah, it's
then
almost like
yeah,
a Wolverine sort of arc, right?
yeah. It's a real sort of gunslinger Ronin samurai thing of being like, I can finally put down my weapons and rest.
Hmm.
Oh no, I actually can't.
Yeah,
And then he gets a taste of what he could have, but then he's got to leave it. And you're like, that's cool. That's good
yeah,
character stuff, and also loads of good action, loads of good characters. Whereas this was the complete opposite.
yeah. It's almost like he has like no consistent character arc. Would you say? I don't want to be harsh, but
Well, no, I mean, yeah, it's the problem I'm sort of finding is like there's no. I keep coming back to this, but the idea that there's no villain, like
hmm
Star Wars is pretty much defined by its villains.
hmm
So the idea is like, well, who is the Mandalorian's nemesis? Who is the group of people who are trying to wipe the Mandalorians out, and that's why they're in hiding? Where's the Empire?
yeah,
Where's the revenge? Where's Carl Weathers at this point? Where is any of this stuff? Where I need a bigger threat, and then I wouldn't
exactly.
mind if it's only little threats.
Yeah, what's the like? What is the biggest threat that you had to face? Just this inexperienced bounty hunter that was
Yeah,
gonna always betray him, and he probably kind of knew that he was gonna betray him, but he needed that money, so he's
yeah.
like, might as well.
And
And
then he took him out very easily.
yeah,
Like it. when the young bounty hunter had Baby Yoda, I was like, right, he's gonna get on the Razor Crest and he's gonna steal the Mandalorian ship, and that's how the episode's gonna end. And I was like, if that happens, that will redeem the episode for me because that will be a cool ending, and then we'll get a sense of something. Nope.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it was cool to see like the Mandalorian's been like this hero, well, at least like the first two or three, where he gets beat up a lot. Like it reminds me of like Indiana Jones and Raiders.
That's
Mm-hmm.
I was on another podcast, the Imperial Senate podcast, and we were talking about episode 3 or 2. But
Okay.
yeah, that was my yeah. I like the idea that he was like the marketing all sort of implied he was going to be this like super cool, unkillable badass. But the show has had him get his ass kicked, you know,
Mm-hmm. Like by
which has been
Jawas,
yeah, like
everyone.
it's good. And like you say, it's very Indiana Jonesy where it's like right, he gets knocked down, but he gets back up,
Mm-hmm. And that's
and that's
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this episode just like kind of goes the opposite, where it's like, oh yeah, he just shoots him and it's not a problem.
Oh yeah, there was
Yeah.
never a sense of threat.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my god, this assassin's like the most oh my god, she used to work for the Huts and the Empire, and she's like super dangerous. Nope.
Yeah, because what you know, going into the last act, his Toro betrays him, captures a child. Amy Sedaris is babysitting because he didn't think of taking the child with him. He just left him on the ship, which is bad parenting.
Terrible parenting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, it's a lot of nonsense that happened. But the fact that we net like Fennec just came and went, and it's played by such a interesting actress that
Yeah.
and I kind of like that if it wasn't this actress, maybe someone like the subversion of expectations. The
Mm.
fact that you had a character an actress that was on Agents of Shield that was the voice of Mulan, and then
Yeah.
you just do nothing with her. It's just I don't know, just does not sit right with me.
No, you're right because that Ming Na Wen is such a cool character actress, and then like in it's such a waste because you're like, okay, have her escape. Because if it's a thing of
Mhm.
like, oh well, she's like double booked with Agents of Shield or whatever, that show is finishing this year or next year.
Yes.
So have her keep her around just in case that she can become a regular next year or something. But
Hmm.
to have her just like have a bit of a fight, get easily bested, and then just get like shot in the stomach and left for dead, you're like, well, why cast her? Why use her?
Right. You could cast anyone, and yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, and like if the subversion is supposed to be like, oh well, you assume she's going to be this cool badass, but actually she isn't. That's not good. That's
No.
not a good subversion.
No. Yeah. It's just yeah. I mean, it kind of I don't know. It goes back to just lacking just dramatic tension, just
Yeah.
basic cinematic language almost. So let's talk about the end because we're just wrapping up here. So they go back to their repair garage. That's where
Hmm.
he had it, and Mandalorian easily bests um, Toro with a
Yeah.
flash grenade, kills him. He gives Amy Sedaris the money for the repairs. He doesn't hire her for a babysitter,
No.
no, and then he just leaves Tatooine. And that was all, that was part of the course with this episode. But the thing that just really bugged me was I don't know if it bugged you the last shot out in the desert.
Yeah.
Like it felt like man, I'm trying to think of a specific Simpsons gag. Do you remember the dog with the shifty eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like that, where it's just like it's just dramatic to be dramatic. There's no point to have the dog with the shifty eyes. This
Yeah.
mysterious figure, like that you saw that he had he had those cowboy boots and uh that, and I'm like, is he was it Cad Bane?
Yeah. Like,
Hmm.
well, what is it? What are we, again? Because I was like, oh, obviously we're going to see who this character is. You're like, no, it's just a pair of legs. And
Mhm.
in a show that has so few characters, who is it supposed? It's not, you know, unless like you say it's Cad Bane or one of them, like some kind of bigger character from the wider canon or whatever. Well, I had nothing to go on, so I was like, well, that's not really a cliffhanger. That could just be some random person finding a dead
Yeah.
body.
Yeah,
It's just like,
exactly.
oh no, I better call the Tatooine cops or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
that. Mhm.
I don't. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what did that mean? Like, what was the point of any of that? It's just like if it was Cad Bane, I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, at least we would have that. But you don't see the cowboy hat. I mean, like,
Yeah,
he was wearing boots, right?
yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, when you said there, like, oh, he's wearing sort of like cowboy boots, I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh, this is going to be Carl Weathers. It's going
Hmm.
to show that the bounty hunters are still following him. So I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even pay that much attention because I was waiting for the reveal of the actual person, and then that didn't come, and I was like, oh, I need to go back and rewatch that because I didn't even take
Hmm.
in any of the detail. But I'd lost interest. I wasn't like, oh, I got to watch this frame by frame to see who it was. I was like, cool, right, that episode's done. I'll go do something else.
Yeah, yeah, I was the same. I was like, oh, that should have excited me, but I'm like, oh, it's like 12:50. I want to go to bed right now and go to work.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, right, I'll shut this down, and I'm really hungover from my Christmas party, so I'm gonna curl up on the couch and go to sleep. And
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been watching like Watchmen
yeah,
on. Okay, cool, cool. That's sorry, we're talking about another show on the Mandalorian podcast. But spoilers for Watchmen. Are you caught up?
yes. And I mean, obviously, the cliffhanger in the last episode, I was like, what?
Yeah,
Just completely blown away. Like, I was like texting people, like, have you watched Watchmen? Have you watched Watchmen? Just like ready to talk about it with every single human being I knew. Like, yeah, that show's been amazing.
we it's like this slowly is gonna become a Watchmen
Yeah,
podcast.
that's it.
Just recommend Watchmen, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, like that, and that's done really well to have this sense of like mystery and propulsion, and you're constantly not, it's telling little stories, but you've got this sense of like, well, what's going to come next, which the
Mhm.
Mandalorian doesn't have.
Yeah.
Mandalorian can't be just banking on the fact that it's a Star Wars show,
Mhm.
so we'll watch it out of obligation because that's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's I mean it has that. It has just I guess like it has tool was it just not getting a little off topic, but I mean, Mandalorian I guess doesn't ruffle the crazy fans' feathers as much,
True.
so it's lacking the crazy discourse that we have from crazy people, which is
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, just as a show, I don't like see the point at times. I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's interesting, but the fact that they have this huge, I guess maybe what they thought was a huge reveal, and we got nothing from it. I was like, what?
Yeah. It's like when we mentioned this before, like, I remember watching or trying to watch the first season of Agents of Shield,
Hmm,
and
it's not
that show
good.
didn't sort of tip over until like episode 18
Yes.
when Winter Soldier happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like watching that show and week in, week out, just being like, no, I don't get what I'm watching and I don't care. Like it didn't it when then finally that Winter Soldier thing happened and I was like, oh no, this is really good now because I know that the propulsion was there. There was a sense of like, oh, this is going somewhere now.
Yeah,
But
it became
yeah,
another show. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. And Mandalorian doesn't necessarily have that because okay, yeah, okay. So the plot line is that he's got to protect the baby, but he hasn't been faced with a threat that's been threatening. All the
Mm-hmm.
bounty hunters are just faceless nobodies who just get easily dispatched.
Mm-hmm.
So who cares? It sounds like
Yeah.
he could just go the rest of his life just raising Baby Yoda and have minor inconveniences.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I will say I do like Carl Weathers as Gref Karga. It's
Yeah,
Gref Karga when I've seen him, but it's just too far and few between. Because I wouldn't mind a scene where Carl Weathers is just making some stew, you know,
you get a stew going.
get a stew going, Arrested Development, and yeah, I mean, just maybe focus on other characters.
Yeah, Oh, you could put a 90-second scene where Herzog summons Carl Weathers to his office and says, "Okay, the Mandalorians stabbed us in the back. I want you to. I'll pay you X amount of
Hmm.
Beskar or Imperial credits or whatever. Go and get every bounty hunter and go and get him." And that's it. We just need that, just that sense of like, oh, okay, cool. So now there's a massive bounty on the Mandalorian's head. The Imperials are after him. The bounty hunters are after him. Great. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. It's just yeah, there's just they need a little finessing in terms of narrative
Yeah,
because this could
because
be
it
a
looks
really
great.
hmm yeah, it could be a really amazing show, and we're just kind of okay.
Yeah, that's it. Everything's there. The actors are there. The look is perfect. Like the Mos Eisley stuff was gorgeous. Like it felt as though we were back in A New Hope, which was cool. And like you say, that image of like the stormtrooper helmets on the stakes,
Hmm.
whether the heads were still in the helmets, I don't know. But like
That
that
was
was such a
mhm.
yeah,
That was the
cool
shot,
image.
the trailer.
Yeah. Like that was the one that made you go, ooh, this is going to be interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and so and the special effects are fine, really good and all that, but it's meaningless if
Hmm.
there's no reason to watch the show.
Yeah. Yeah. This is gonna be a downer of an episode.
Yeah, sorry, that's a terrible final thought, isn't it? Of just like everything's meaningless.
Yeah. Any just wrapping up here, Sean. Any positives that we could say just to not end
Oh, I
on?
mean, like I say, I think this episode is a blip. The
Okay.
other four episodes I've really enjoyed, but the problem is this episode outlines the weaknesses so much that you
Mhm.
start to like apply them backwards, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. But the
Yeah.
music is still incredible. Pascal's still incredible. Baby Yoda's amazing. I think it's interesting, like the guest stars that they've had have been really cool. Like I think there's been some really interesting actors they've brought in, so hopefully that continues. But I
Yeah.
need them to like I don't need every character who comes in to be like a one-shot character. Um, I need that sense of like this isn't just going to be like a show that's just about this one character. I need a crew. I need a sense of like development and relationships and things like that. So
Yeah. It feels like the later guest stars in the Simpsons
yeah,
seasons, where there's just like, oh hey, here's Karl Malone, uh, Shaquille O'Neal, Allen
yeah,
Iverson, and they're there for the shot, and then they're gone.
that's it. Yeah, each say one line. That's it.
Yeah.
But I
Exactly.
positive wise, like technically, it's brilliant.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of cool talent behind the camera. I think the next three episodes are directed by Deborah Chow, Taika Waititi,
Taika
and
Rick
yeah,
Famuyiwa.
yes. So I mean, we've already had Ryan Johnson say that he'd love to come and direct an episode in the second season. So it'd be great if they keep that up and bring back really interesting directors.
Yes. I
I think there's a
really
lot of
hope.
cool stuff.
I really hope Ryan does because he has the best episodes
Yeah.
of Breaking Bad, and also just to make all the crazy Star Wars fans mad.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, I would love it.
Power move.
Yeah, a real power move, a real like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think the show has the potential to be fantastic.
Yeah,
I just
I'm.
need them to think outside of the idea that oh, it's Star Wars and that's enough.
Yes, yeah. I would agree with you, sir.
Yes.
So at least we ended on a positive note.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
and before we end each episode, we ask this question to each guest, and I'm going to ask it to you. What do you think Baby Yoda eats? Because that's why we're perplexed by that.
I
Because he
think
has
it's
to eat
most. It sounds like bones. Bones seem to be his
bones.
diet
Okay.
because he drinks the bone broth and he eats the frog.
Okay.
And at one point, Amy Sidara said, "We'll get you some bones," which I think was supposed to be
Oh.
like a reference, like though, like she's treating him like a dog. But maybe that's his diet. It's a heavy bone diet.
Yeah. Frogs have skeletons. If
Yep.
anyone had the unfortune of dissecting one in high school
Yep.
or something, which is weird that people do that. But okay, yeah, I can see bones.
Frog's legs. You eat frog's legs on the
Frogs.
bone. You have to eat them like chicken wings.
Mm,
Look,
okay, that's a good answer.
here you go.
But Sean, thank you for joining us on this recording. It's been a real pleasure to have you back on the show to talk with you again. You know, your insight on Star Wars has always been really nuanced and appreciated. And I always like your opinions, man. Like you have some really funny jokes.
Well, thank you for having me, man. Anytime. And
Hmm.
it's a shame we couldn't get Matt's schedule to
Yeah.
open up, but
It,
definitely he'd love to be on again. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah, we'd love to have you on. You know, my girlfriend always sends me your tweets, so you know, it's always awesome to have you. Where can people find you at? Just Pugs?
Yeah, so on Twitter, I am first to last pod. Um, the channel is Blue Bantha Milk Co. on YouTube. Next year, we're going to sort of expand that out and start looking, kind of doing a bit of a fishing with dynamite thing
Hmm.
and go on as many platforms as we can. But yeah, check it out. The Road to Nine is ongoing. We've got a bunch of other mad things. Yeah, we talk about Star Wars and pop culture, and with a positive spin. And yeah, check us out.
Awesome. Cool, cool. Please be sure to do that, viewers. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You could follow me on Twitter on Gene9892. Please follow the Waffle Press on Twitter, on at the Waffle Press. On Instagram, it's at the Waffle Press Podcast. Like, subscribe, share on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Uh, we've been professionally unprofessional.
Bye.